Do a really quick run through of this. Yeah, so Janus is getting added. The Geb 1 skins, the plushie Ganesh skins. That stuff we don't really care too much about. Totem of Ku is getting changed to being more of a quicker spike and less of an over time, permanent buff. Fire Imps are getting a pretty massive nerf. I think this is one of the worst changes. Fire Imps were 4 nuggets and then the 2 ones that just laid on the ground. And it was 3,600 health for all of it. Now it's you have to kill 3 imps. They're all weaker. You have to kill 3 of them for the same amount. And they're all, it's like just worth less. So everything is just worth less, but there's another one to kill, which doesn't feel great. Amma gets slightly less basic attack, but gets a little bit of lifesteal. 3 to 5% lifesteal is pretty low. The damage nerf isn't really that massive, so maybe this is like a small buff. But yeah, Amma aspect is really only used for like split pushing or backdooring. Ares is getting a really big nerf. This is huge. I mean, even at 20 health, this is kind of insane, but 30 health was just like game breaking. This is nice. No longer gaining block sacks from basic attacking non-guard targets. That is so OP. That is so OP. And then Bludgeon is also getting a good amount extra damage. I kind of am glad to see Blonas 2 getting a little bit more value because this ability is just so bad. I mean, it's the combination of the prots from his 2 and the healing. Like, if you tried to hit him, he was reducing a ton of the damage with his protections, and then he was also healing a ton with the health regen. So it's just both of them are pretty crazy. Serb, this is actually a really big buff to Serb. You can actually get his head alerted. I feel like this wasn't in Smite 1, but maybe it was. You can alert the heads before getting his 1. So now at level 2, you actually have like a big spike. That was never in Season 1. That's what I thought. Or in Smite 1. So this is actually a really big buff to Serb. Hades, a lot of damage, intelligence scaling decrease on the 1. Where the ally heal is only considering item protection, such an issue where Hades self-heal is not considering protection scaling at all. That just seems like a buff to Hades' healing, I guess. But a nerf to his 1, sure. This is a Hecate non-conquest nerf, whatever. Huyi's aspect was actually really OP for clearing early game. It also, because it ricochets and how it's coded as an auto attack, it knocks back 2 minions, which means like if you're trading autos with the enemy support, like both supports are trading and one has a Huyi and one doesn't have a Huyi, and the Huyi has aspect, you're actually knocking back 2 minions, which means that's 2 minions not autoing you, while the enemy team is only knocking back 1, which is maybe doesn't seem like a lot, but it actually is a lot. And then the basic attack bounce is also getting decreased. The basic attack ricochet damage is also getting decreased. I really didn't think the aspect was very good, but maybe it's something I don't think about that is getting nerfed. Oh yeah, that bug is bad too, that it can't kill wards. Hunbat's nerf. Decreased strength per stack from 5 to 3. Hunbat's at level 20 with 4 stacks. Used to get 30 or 40, now it gets 32. And Hunbat's at level 1 with 4 stacks is now only 12 instead of 20. It's a pretty big nerf in the early game, but it doesn't really matter, I don't think. Sacred Monkey's also getting a slight strength decrease. Jingwei is just getting a massive, massive buff. Explosive Bolts is going down to 14 seconds. Agility is now going to be scaling from 16 down to 14 instead of 18. And Airstrike is an extra 15% strength scaling. I think Jingwei was already good. She's just not a character that people enjoy for the most part. She also is kind of reliant on crit. So maybe crit's suffering because of how good Spectral is. I don't know, but I don't think Jingwei needed buffs. Medusa is getting a pretty big buff. Her 1, she now gets more attack speed from the more strength she builds, and she gets more damage on her 1 with the more strength she builds. But her 2 and ult get a lot more intelligence scaling. And I love Intelligence Medusa. It's so fun to play. Another massive buff is Rama. Rama 1 is now doing an extra 5% bonus damage scaling. So if you have your 1 active, instead of your 1 doing 115%, it's actually doing 120%. And that's over 5 autos. And you can actually get it to being more than 5 autos if you're picking up your arrows. So this is actually a really, really big Rama buff. And then Rolling Assault is an extra 15% scaling, which is also just another really big change. Less arrows, but they're more powerful. And then lastly, a little Zeus shift. A little bit of value, giving him haste in his 2 for like a strength build, but he is getting more scaling in his ultimate. For the starters and items, Vamp Shroud is getting a buff, which is pretty... I guess it's okay. 100 health on an item is nice, and the health restore is also kind of nice. but I still think it's probably one of the most underwhelming starters by like a pretty wide margin. The only one that really contested it as being bad was Gilded Arrow, which is also getting nerfed or buffed. Yeah, Gilded doesn't really have a niche. That's kind of the issue. The starter upgrade is also pretty bad now because they nerfed the basic attack power. Ancient Signet is getting a buff, the extra damage per level, and also it's going to be a decreased cooldown, which is something you can actually decrease even more from clearing minions. I don't think this really becomes buyable still, just because it's so expensive for not like a mediocre amount of damage, but for just like a once-off, maybe a twice-off damage burst. This will be purchased on Nuwa, to be fair. Nuwa is really, 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 really OP with Ancient Signet, but that's about it. Because she just guarantees the 240, 250 damage on 5 enemies. And also another really big buff to Bancroft's Talon. More upfront damage. Also, slightly less on the cap, but as a total, you will be getting just more intelligence. It's now, what, 115 instead of 110. So that's a pretty nice buff for Bancroft's, considering it is also still the highest sustained item. I could see this making a comeback with this change. Braggy's Harp, just a bug fix. Contagion is also getting a pretty massive nerf, losing 75 health. The health isn't that big of an issue. Yeah, the item gets value off of the health, so, you know, nerfing the item that you're getting value off of never will feel great, but you can buy health pretty easily in the game. The cost is kind of the bigger thing. It was a really efficient item at 2250 for 500 health and 8 regen. Now it's 425 for 2400 gold and the 8 regen. So it is a pretty big nerf, but you'll still buy it if, you know, that's something that you want to buy. Dev's Gloves is getting a pretty, not sizable nerf, but it is enough to like kind of kick it down a little bit. I thought Dev's was good. It's still going to be good, but I do think it is a little bit overbought. I think people kind of overvalue it and they don't build around it correctly. Levi's Hide. Yeah, I don't think this really matters. I kind of wish that they made Levi's Hide the damaging item instead of Contagion. Like, Levi's Hide, every time you proc the auto, you do, like, damage based on the amount of health you're getting from your Levi's. I think that would be cool. That's basically Heartsteel from League. Lifebinder, 15 health. Actually, or sorry, 15 intelligence. Actually a pretty big buff for Lifebinder. Is it going to be bought? Maybe some mid laners would actually find value in it. Because it is a, like, 100 health swing. Or sorry, a 200 health swing. 100 against them and 100 added to you. Actually, it's 200 added to you because you get 100 shield and 100 health. I can see Lifebinder actually being bought in middle because it's also the most inexpensive item. I think it's like 23 or 2400 or something like that. So it's really inexpensive and it does give you a lot of survivability. Regrowth Striders, yeah, it's a nerf, but you're still buying the item if you're buying the item, and it's still going to be broken if you're, you know, wanting this item. So, yeah. Sanguine Lash, a little bit more of a nerf because this item, a lot of the item kind of like ties into itself. Nerfing the lifesteal means you do less damage. Nerfing the base damage % health also means you'll be doing a lot less damage. It's also not statted very well. Like 25 strength, 30 protections, and then 7.5% lifesteal now. Sanguine Lash may be the solo lane item that gets kicked out of builds now. And then the last two, Sunbeam is just getting a bug fix, and Transcendence is getting a buff of 5 strength. It'd also just be easier to stack. Transcendence did feel like it took longer to stack than you'd expect, but now it'll be stacked not a ton faster, but a little bit faster, so that'll be a nice feeling for Trans. But yeah, that is the patch notes with Janus, who, yeah, I played a little bit of Janus, and his damage does seem low. Damage does seem a little low.